I mean, there's so much available in the first 3 holes. I use a lot of 3-draw whole step bend in just my general improvising, and you'll find that great players do. So if you're not using a lot of 3-draw whole step bends, you should think about where you can throw that in. 2-draw, 3-draw whole step bend, 2-draw, or 3-draw half step to whole step. Half step, whole step, and then 2-draw. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take the first 3 holes and I'm going to play to this whole dang jam track. My goal is to keep textures in mind. I'm keeping rhythm in mind. I'm keeping space in mind. I'm keeping those focus notes in mind. And I'm keeping my chords in mind. When I go to that 4 chord, if I'm on the 3-draw, I'm bending it down a half step. Otherwise, it does not sound good. If I'm on the 5 chord and I'm hitting a 2-draw, it doesn't sound good. 2-draw is not a note of the 5 chord. 2-draw half step is a note of the 5 chord. It is time to be responsible for the notes that you play. If you're playing a note that does not match the chord, shame on you. Plainly put, it doesn't sound good. The only time it's excusable is if it has a phrasing idea in mind. If you're doing your A, and your A has a 2-draw in it, then okay, you can play your 2-draw on the 5 chord, because now you're taking a phrasing model and the listener will forgive you. So in this case, when we're not hitting a phrasing model and you're just improvising around the harmonica, you better be hitting notes of the chords. And we're not talking about all the notes, but if you're going to hold a note, you're telling me, the listener, that that's a good note. This is a note you should pay attention to, Dave. This is a good note. And if it's not a note that matches a 5 chord, if you're on the 5 chord, bar 9, it isn't a good note and it doesn't sound good. Don't fool yourself. So there's a certain point that harmonica players can bullshit their way through their improvising. And hey, it's a blessing. It really is. It allows us to get up and play with musicians early on, but we don't really know what we're doing. And then you get to this competency level that you're kind of starting to get to know what does sound good. And you realize that on the 4 chord, bars 4 and 5, and 5 and 6, and on the 5, 4, 1, bars 9, 10, 11, and sometimes the turnaround, you're probably just playing something fine on the turnaround, but probably not imaginative, right? You do realize that's an area you can get better at. And there's a certain point where you're playing, and it kind of really starts from the beginning, but it's like, okay, they go here, and I'm not sure exactly where to go. You know where to go now. I've told you. 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, memorize your C harmonica. Now it's time to dig in and do the work that it takes. Luckily, this is very little memorization. Compared to all other instruments, this is just, first day music theory. And really, theory is just the understanding of music. So this is your step to understand music. And it's to no longer say, well, that was good enough. You record yourself. You listen to the 5 chord. Are you holding a note that doesn't match this list? Then it doesn't sound good. Again, stop fooling yourself. All right, enough for the pep talk. Let me go ahead and play. Let's see what happens.